Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey, CEO of the World Floor Covering Association, and this is Leadership Live. And we are into our fourth week of Leadership by the Letter. And this week we'll be changing letters from A, because we had a bonus week last week, to the letter B. And we will start the letter B with the word belief. Nothing more determines whether people will follow you than if they buy into your belief system and what you believe. So first, let me help you understand what a belief is. According to the dictionary, it's a confirmation in one's mind that something is factual, that it is indeed true. When you believe something, it's apparent not only by what you say, but by what you do. Let me tell you a few things about belief. First of all, beliefs are forged over time. And by the way, not only forged by success, but forged by failure. I love the scene in one of my favorite Christmas movies, Elf, with Will Ferrell, where he first encounters an escalator. He has no idea what this thing is, and he's scared to get on it, and he shows that through his actions. He ends up putting one foot on that stretches out as the escalator goes up, but he keeps one foot securely on the ground, ends up doing a split going up. And I think about that being us the first time we try something, and maybe it doesn't work out exactly like we thought, but over time we're able to refine the process, and we begin to believe that will work. I'm sure the first time a child sits in a chair, he's not sure about the chair, but over time you begin to believe that a chair will hold you up. Bob Vernon was with the LA Police Department, and he talked about the testing of the bulletproof vest and convincing rookie cops that they could be trusted, that they were safe. He said they would put them on mannequins and they would fire live rounds, and then they would take the bulletproof vest off the mannequin and look to see if any of the shots had penetrated the vest. Of course, they hadn't. He said what he always enjoyed was then looking back at these rookies and saying, okay, now who's willing to step in and replace the mannequin? Well, they said they had confidence in the bulletproof vest, but when you're the one that has to wear it, it's a whole different thing. And yet, policemen and women do wear the vest because they believe it will help secure their safety. Secondly, I want you to understand that beliefs directly impact your well-being, your success. Listen, if you've been told all your life that you can't do something, that you're not big enough, or it's impossible for you, you don't have the skill set, you may have begun to believe that. Not because it's factual, but because it's been drilled into you. I've used the example before of Zig Ziglar talking about the law of the lid, where you take some fleas and you put them in a jar, and you put the lid on the jar. You screw it shut, and he said those fleas will jump up and they'll hit the lid of that jar over and over again for about a minute. He said the amazing thing is you can then take the lid off the jar and they'll never jump out because they are convinced that the lid is there. Is it possible that somebody has put a lid on your belief system and you've got more potential than you're utilizing? Very, very likely. Sam Schumann was told in 1970 that he had terminal liver cancer. He believed that. He went home and prepared to die. And a couple of months later, that's exactly what happened. But when they did the autopsy, they found out that he did not have terminal liver cancer. He just had one small tumor on his liver that could have been removed. But that didn't matter because Sam believed he had terminal liver cancer, and the belief led to his demise. What you believe can determine your level of success, but also can create a level of failure. Finally, beliefs are shown before they're known. It's one thing to tell people what you believe, but they really believe what you believe by watching what you do. It's your actions that tell somebody what you truly trust, what you truly believe in. Ken Davis is a youth speaker, and he used an example of a speech class he was in college. It was one of those where you're supposed to convince people of something. So he took the law of the pendulum. And he talked about how if you stretch a string out and it's got a weight on it and you let it go, it will swing over to the other side and it will swing back, but what won't go quite as far as where you started. And each time the swing will get smaller and smaller until the pendulum stops. He demonstrated this by just tacking a piece of line up to a chalkboard, and he put one of those child tops that you spin on the end of it. He let it go and he put a mark where he let it go, and then he let it go and it came back and it was a little bit closer, and he put a mark, and he continued to show the marks as it came in. He said, based on this, how many of you believe in the law of the pendulum? And the whole class raised their hand, including the teacher, who thought it was a great presentation and thought the presentation was over. But Ken Davis said, not so quick. He said, come up here. I've got a chair for you on the stage. And he moved the teacher up on the stage. In that classroom, there was a metal beam, and he had hung from that metal beam what the teacher thought was just a visual example, a pendulum. On it, he had hung on 500-pound parachute cord, 250 pounds of metal weight. And he took that over to the edge, right next to the nose of the teacher, and he said, "Do you believe in the law of the pendulum? Of course, that it will never swing back past where it started." He had already said he did. He had no choice but to reaffirm, "Yes, I believe." And so Ken stretched it out to this side next to his nose and let it go. And when it started to swing back, he said, "You've never seen a teacher move so fast in your life." He said he believed, but his actions did not back up his belief. If you're a leader and you say you believe in integrity, you believe in stretching the boundaries and change, that people don't have to fear failure, and yet your actions say just the opposite, they're hearing your action. They're not hearing your words. I want to challenge you to let your beliefs be evident, to let your beliefs motivate your children, your spouse, your community, and certainly within your workplace, so that you can be a better person, and so can they. Through your belief, you expand the boundary of what is possible, not only for yourself, but for your team. Be a leader who's strong in their belief, and then go out there and lead.